All right, hello. This is the first of a series of videos showing you how to use QGIS. If you look at my channel, you'll see that I've previously made some other videos on how to use QGIS. But I'm making this series to hopefully be more clear than I was in the original series. I also want to go into more detail about ID manipulation, and I also hope to show how to make election maps that have multiple candidates. I mean, more than two, because the original videos that I showed only showed how to make maps between a Democrat and a Republican. I'm hoping in this video or in this series to show how to make more detailed maps. For this first video though, you don't need any knowledge on how to use QGIS, and future videos will build on the previous one, so you should ideally watch these in order. Um, for this first one though, it's only going to be a map between a Democrat and a Republican, and it's going to involve no ID manipulation. So this is going to be the most basic of the videos. Before you start this, you're going to want to download QGIS. You should be able to search it up and find it pretty easily. It's free, so you don't have to worry about paying or anything. And you should find a download page like this. I might link it in the comments. And then for whichever operating system you're on, make sure to download the proper version. Then what you're going to use is spreadsheet software. I recommend Microsoft Office or Excel, which is part of Microsoft Office. You might be able to get it for free if you're part of like a university which offers it, and you can check that here. I'll also link this in the comments. But if you're not able to get it for free, because usually it costs money, then you could also get LibreOffice, which is also pretty good. And it is free, like regardless. So if you're not able to get Excel, I would recommend LibreOffice. It functions pretty much the same. So yeah. And then for this map, for this first video anyways, I'm going to be mapping the 2020 presidential election in Delaware. I'm going to get that data from here, the voting election science team at the Harvard Dataverse, and they should be linked in the comments. And we can see here it says statewide results for Delaware. This is the one that we're going to download, the DE_2020. So you can press this, and you can press Shapefile zip archive, press accept, and it should download here. Then I'm going to go to my downloads where it should be saved at. Then I'm going to drag this into this folder, the map folder. That's where I usually do most of my mapping. But you could, of course, just do it in your downloads folder. It doesn't really matter. Next, before I go into the actual mapping process, there are really two things that I want to show. First are basic Excel commands. So first of all, I'm going to open a new workbook. Then first of all, when you're selected on a site, you can just type anything and press enter, and it'll save it, or you press the delete key. Then if you select on a site, you can do Control-C to copy, and then drag a selection, do Control-V to paste. Then if you want to like select one of these columns, you could click this to select a column or any of these. You could also drag across to select multiple. Or if you want to like select non-consecutive columns, you can do this and then control and then click to drag to select other columns, or you could just like click individually with control click to select multiple like that. And same thing applies with the rows like this with like the control click or whatever. Yeah, it's basically the same thing. Then if you want to select all of these like in a selection of text, you could do like Control Shift down. You could do the Control Shift right arrow and it selects like that. You could also do like Control Shift Shift up like that if you wanted to. Like Control Shift left works like that. And then if you want to get to like the top of a row really quickly or the left, you could do like Control left, Control up, Control right, Control down, etc. And then lastly, I want to show formulas. So formulas are basically done with an equal sign. And then if you want to include like a cell in a formula, you can click on the cell like that. And then let's say we do like that plus 1. Since this H7 cell has a 1 in it, it will do 1 plus 1, which is just 2. So it outputs a 2. And then if we copy this cell and paste it here, we can see that it doesn't copy the H7 cell. And basically the reason for that is what it does instead is it copies the position of that cell and pastes relative to it. So since this H7 cell is 1 to the left of this, instead of pasting the H7 cell in that, it's going to paste the cell which is 1 to the left of this, which is the I7 cell. So it says I7 plus 1, so 2 plus 1, which gives us 3. If we don't want it to paste relative and when we want to lock the cells in a given cell when we're pasting, what we can do is we can click up here and then we can press F4, or you could just manually add these dollar signs and that'll lock it. So if we press enter and then we copy this and paste here, it should all paste as 3s. Yep. and that's because they're all the I7+1. And yeah, those are just the basic Excel commands that you need to know for now. I'm just going to close this out. Yeah, I'm not going to save that. Next after this, I'm going to show the basics of making a color ramp in QGIS. So once you install QGIS and everything, just open it. I already have it opened. And then this button here, you can see it says Style Manager. Click on that, and click the screen plus arrow, and go to Gradient. And first of all, you'll see these two endpoints. These are unmovable, and these are just your end colors, and you could just like change them to like whatever. You have this HTML notation thing where you could manually set hex colors. If you want to add like another color on this color ramp, you could double click anywhere on it and it'll add that position. And then if you click on this, you'll be able to adjust the relative position here. And you're also like drag them around. And you could add more than one of these. You could like double click multiple places and add them. But if you want to like delete one of them, you could just press the delete key and that'll remove them. For the basic color ramp that you're going to want between Democrat and Republican, what you want to do is you're of course going to want the dividing line to be a 50%. And I'm just going to set this to white for now. It doesn't really matter. And then on the left, you're going to want your reds. And on the right, you're going to want your blues. Make sure that these like evenly balance when you're making yours. I would put like a decent amount of thought into this once you're making it. But yeah, once you're done with that, you can press OK. Type in the name of your color ramp. Mine is called full color, and the default one is like called RDBU. But just make sure you're able to name it something that you're able to remember. You are able to change this later though. But yeah, once you're done with that, press save. I'm not going to do that though, because yeah, I'm not using this color ramp that I just made. And then if you want to like check it and change it, you can go here to color ramp and click on the colorful tag, and then you should find yours here. And then you can like click on it to like change the color, whatever, or you can like double click on it to update like any of the colors on these. And yeah, that's just the basics of color ramp manipulation. Then yeah, like I said for this map, the what we're going to do is we're going to do just a basic map with no ID manipulation, which is only between Democrat and Republican. And like I said, we're going to use Delaware, which I already downloaded because they have unique IDs, as I will show you how to determine that later. So then what you're going to want to do is once you have this zip file, first of all, you're going to either need like WinRAR or WinZip to extract this. So if you don't have one of those installed, you should get those installed. I think they're both free. I mean, WinRAR will tell you like you have to like buy a license, but then it like never does anything about it. So it's basically free. And then you can like right click on this. And then under this thing, this is WinRAR. You can press extract here. And yeah, it should give you all these files. And then I'm just going to explain the basics of some of these. So for this SHP file, this is a shapefile, and it basically contains all of the shapes that are the precinct map, basically. And each of these also, like each of these precincts corresponds to like certain fields, which you can find in this .dbf file. This is a spreadsheet file, which you can open like some spreadsheet software. So if you like right click, open with, and then you could like click Excel or LibreOffice. I already have this set by default to Excel. So if we open it, this same spreadsheet software you will find inside the SHP file. And basically each of these rows corresponds to a precinct. Yeah, and so basically you'll already find this spreadsheet software inside this SHP file. And then another thing that's important to note is this .prg file. This is also associated with the shapefile, and it basically determines the projection in QGIS, and it basically helps the software to detect where it is like on the map. So if this was like missing or like malfunctioning or whatever, then there would be issues with projecting this. But this should be normal. I think for all the voting election science projection files, they're all normal. So yeah, but yeah, what you should do is you should open this .dbf file because this is what we're going to use for the data. And luckily, this .dbf file already has like a bunch of election data from 2020, so we don't have to go find it elsewhere. In future videos, though, the data and shapefile will be separate, and I'll explain how to deal with that later. But yeah, so basically what we're going to need is, since each of these rows are a precinct, we need something called a unique identifier to identify each of these individual precincts when we are joining this with the shapefile data. So yeah, we need a unique identifier, and for us, it's going to pretty obviously be this, since this says precinct. And since it needs to be unique, we have to have a way to check that this is unique, and luckily we do. In the search bar, there's a command called remove duplicates. Yeah, I already have it up here because I use it a lot. and then you can press continue with the current selection, remove duplicates, and you can see since it says no duplicate values found, that means all these values are unique. So thus we can use this as a unique identifier. And then, so we're going to want to copy this, and then we're of course going to want to copy the data that we're using. First of all, I should explain how each of these headings work. So basically the first 3 digits, G20, you can see they all start with that. That basically means it's the general election for 2020. Then the 3 letters after that, you can see here it's PRE, that indicates the office. So PRE is president, USS is United States Senate, HAL is House at Large, GOV is governor. Then the letter after that is party. So D is Democrat, R is Republican, L is Libertarian, G is Green. And then the 3 final letters are the first 3 letters of the candidate's last name. So BID is Biden, JRU Trump, JR Jorgensen, HAW Hawkins. And so basically that means this is the total for Biden, this is the total for Trump, the total for Jorgensen, the total for Hawkins, and this is by each individual precinct. So yeah, since we're going to do president, I'm just going to, as I showed you earlier, you can drag to select multiple. If I were doing something like US Senate though, you would have to do like the control click thing with like this, and then control drag this. But since the president ones are right next to the IDs, we could just copy like this. And then what you want to do is open this in a new Excel software, or a new Excel spreadsheet, and then paste like this. And then I'm going to create a total column, a D% column, an R% column, and a D minus R column. You really don't need all of these. You really only need the D minus R one, which I'll explain to you later. But I'm only showing you these right now because these are going to become relevant for the Wikipedia map making later. But yeah, you really only, I'll explain this to you more later. But for the total column, it's going to be equals, and then it's going to be the sum of all the vote totals in the precinct, like that. So yeah, it should be like sum B2 to E2. Alternatively, what you could do is you can do equals, and then this plus this plus this plus this, and it's the same thing. And yeah, that gives you the total for this precinct. D% is going to be equals, and then the Biden number in this precinct divided by the total. So this should give you a number between 0 and 1, and it's basically the percentage that Biden got, but in decimal format. So yeah, since it's a number between 0 and 1, if you multiply this by 100, you get the percentage. So it looks like Biden got like 62.1662% in this precinct. For the R%, is going to be equals, and then Trump's total in the precinct divided by the total. Again, should be a number between 0 and 1, and it's the decimal form of his percentage in the precinct. So it looks like he got 36.6469% in the precinct. And then D minus R, it's going to be equals D% minus R%. And so basically this is the percentage margin in the precinct. This time it's going to be a number between -1 and 1. If it's a negative value, that means it's a Republican win. And if it's a positive number, that means it's a Democratic win. So since here it's positive, it's a Democratic win, which makes sense because the D% is greater than the R%. And this is the percent margin. So in this case, it's 25.5193% margin of victory over Trump. And if it was negative, that would just be the Republican margin of victory over the Democratic candidate. And so then what we can do is we can copy these. And remember, since all the stuff in this like pastes relative, because we didn't lock any of these cells, if we copy this down, like we'll see it pastes for this precinct, which is exactly what we want. But if we do like control down here, we'll see this like 435 precincts. So if we just drag down like this the whole time, that's going to take like a really long time, especially when we get to larger files where you'll have like thousands of rows. So the better thing to do is like click on the row right next to this, to control down, press the right arrow, and then control shift up, as I showed you earlier. And then you can do control V, and that fills in everything. And now that is all good. Now though, I'll show you what I mean by the D minus, by how these 3 are unnecessary. They will be necessary later on when we're doing the Wikipedia map making, because those are reliant on the winner's percentage. But for the D minus R, instead of like creating all these 4 columns, you really only need the D minus R. And what you could do is you could do equals, and then parentheses, and then the Democratic total minus Republican total, and then divided by the sum of the totals, and that'll give you, you see, it gives you the same percentage. So I think in the next video, I'll probably just do the D minus R column. I'm only showing you these right now for when you're doing the Wikipedia stuff. But yeah, yeah, this is another valid way to do it. You don't need to like do all these 4 individually. But yeah, this is done now. And then we are going to save this. I'm just going to press X, and it prompts up save changes to file. I'm going to save it as a DE_final, and choose location. I already have it set by default to where I want to go, so I'm going to press save, and then we can X this out. Then what you want to do is you're going to want to open up QGIS. I already have that done. And then in the top left, click this thing that says new project, or you could just do Control N as it says. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to either want to drag in your .shp and your newly formatted sheet, or you could just drag in the whole. If you don't want to save it to your computer, you could just drag in the whole zip and your file. I don't like to save things to my computer, so I'm not going to drag in the .shp. I'm just going to drag in these two, and then that should be fine like that. Then you can't really see it with this map, but oftentimes when you drag in a map, it'll look like stretched and like not how it's normally supposed to look. And that's because by default, it doesn't project it to like the state's projection. So if we want it like projected properly, we're going to want to click in this thing in the bottom right. It says like EPSG 3857. And then in this filter, you can type in the state name. So I'm going to type in Delaware. So this top thing that says recently used coordinate reference systems, that's the ones that you've already used. For you, this should probably be blank, since I'm assuming whoever's watching this is a beginner when they're seeing this. But for me, it's not, so I'm going to click this. But yeah, for you, assuming you're a beginner, you should go on this thing down here which says predefined coordinate reference systems and just pick one. It really doesn't matter which one you pick. It should be fine. And also when you click it, you can see this map here which shows you like where the projection is over. And that'll help you make sure like it's proper. So yeah, once you have the one that you want selected, you can press apply. And if it pops up something like that, just press enter, and I'll press OK. And then I'll close out this error, and then right click, zoom to layers. Oh yeah, and also on this layer menu panel, you can click on them. So yeah, what I did is I clicked on this one and then right click, zoom to layers. Yeah. And then next, another thing is you can see, if you know what Delaware looks like, first of all, Delaware is a coastal state. You can see like these precincts are covering like the water boundaries for the state. So it's not like clipped to the shoreline. So if we want it clipped to the shoreline, what we need is we need another file which is already clipped to the shoreline, and then we're able to use that to basically like cut this state to that to get the state clip to the shoreline. And I'll show you where to get that reference file right now. Usually, I recommend NHGIS for this. You're gonna have to create an account to use this, but once you do that, go over to select data, and then geographic levels, and then since we're clipping to the state of Delaware, we're gonna want to select state, then press submit, and then we can go to the GIS files. Yeah, I have this set to 500 by default. I think the default might be 20, but yeah, set that to 500 so that you can see all of them. And then this one's the most popular one, I think. So I'll just click this plus arrow, then continue, and yeah, continue again. Description, I'll just save it as states, submit, and yeah, these are all the previous ones that I did before. You can see I actually already did this video earlier today, but I accidentally deleted it, which kind of sucks. So I'm redoing this. But yeah, then yeah, you can press download on this. Yeah, once it's done, I'm just gonna drag this to that same folder again. And then of course you can right click. You can go to WinRAR, extract here, double click on this, and then you can drag this into QGIS, and you will see now it's a map of all the states, but they're clipped to the shoreline. And then what we want to do is, as I showed you on the layers panel, you can click on them. I'm going to click on the NHGIS one, and then up here there's this thing called select features by area or single click. I'm going to click that, then click the state of Delaware. And then what you want to do is go to vector, geoprocessing tools, clip, and then basically if you imagine this is like a cookie cutter cutting dough, like your cookie cutter layer, the thing that's cutting it would be the NHGIS file, specifically the state of Delaware though, and that's going to be our overlay layer. So you see we already have the NHGIS file selected, but I'm going to do selected features only, so it's only Delaware that's cutting it. I mean, we don't really need this, but I think this might like speed it up because like, yeah, we don't really have to worry about all these other states. And then for the input layer, it's going to be our so-called cookie dough, I guess, in this metaphor, which would be the precinct map, which is yeah, DE_2020. So then I'm going to press run, and yeah, it should clip like that. I'm gonna unselect these two now. By the way, though, if when doing that clip, it says you have like a red arrow that says a certain file has invalid geometries, go into this processing toolbox and type in fix geometries, then double click on this, and whichever file it said wasn't working, just put it into this, press run, and then use that in the clip thing, and it should fix it. Yeah. Then what you're gonna want to do is, oh wait, did I join this? Enter. Joins. No, I did not join this. Okay, so in that case, I forgot a step in this. So before you click it, I'm gonna recheck this actually. Right click on the DE_2020, then go to properties, and then under joins, you're going to want to click the green plus arrow. For your join layer, it is going to be your spreadsheet software, or it's going to be your spreadsheet file, which contained your like D-R field. For the join field and the target field, they should both be your unique ID. So it looks like they're already selected by default. And then what you're going to do is press OK and press apply. And then, yeah, I'm just going to do the clipping thing again. Yeah, this shouldn't take too long. And yeah, and by the way, when you clip it, it stores all the linked data, so you don't have to worry about that. So yeah, then once you have your clipped file with the data joined properly, you want to right click on it, go to properties, then go to symbology, click simple fill, click this thing under fill color and press edit, and then you're going to type in this formula. I think I should have like a demo of this formula in the comments, but what you're going to want to type is ramp_color, then an apostrophe. And then here you want your, as it says, your ramp name. So this is the thing that you were making earlier with your color ramp. So mine is called full color. I think the default is called RDBU. But yeah, whichever one you made earlier, just make sure to type that in here. Then do apostrophe, comma, space, scale _ linear, parentheses. And then under fields and values, which you see in this panel here, click this down arrow. And then you're gonna, your D-R field is the one with like the margin, so we're gonna want to double click on that. Then you'll see a space generate here. Make sure to delete that. That's like really important, because otherwise it'll like mess with the formula. Then at the end of this, you'll also see a space here, but that one you don't delete. At the end of that space, do comma space -1 comma space 1 comma space 0 comma space 1, and then 2 closing parentheses like that. And yeah, this is how it should look. Then once you're done, you press OK. And then I'll move this to the side so that you can see the map, press apply, and everything should generate like that. Then if you want to change like your node data color, that'll be this fill color thing. So I'll just set this to white. I don't think it really will make a difference for this map. And then for stroke color, you can of course change this to like whatever you want. If you want to make like yellow or something, I don't know why you want to do that, but you can. Then for the stroke width, like you could change it to make it thicker or thinner. Like if you want to make 5, that makes it thicker. And yeah. And then for stroke style, you could change this to like dash or dotted or whatever. I usually turn this off because I don't like precinct. I don't like the outlines in my map. So I'm gonna press apply, and yeah, that looks good. And yeah, I'll just zoom to layers one more time, and then once you're done with this, you can do project, import, export map to image. I usually like to increase the resolution on this to 1000. That makes it like a really large file size. And then of course you can change the output width and output height. I'm not going to alter that. But yeah, once you're done, press save. I'll save it to my map folder again. And I'll save it as test. And once that's done, you should see it here as a PNG, and you could double click on it. And yeah, it should look something like that. And yeah, also this clipped layer, I don't think it saves by default to your computer once you X this out. So if you want to save that, I think you go to this, yeah, new shapefile layer, just save it to that. But yeah, that's the basics for this tutorial. Make sure to stick around for the future ones, because I do hope to go into more detail into this stuff. Yeah.